Following 8 years in the background, Paula Abdul was now ready. She had practiced for months, found investors, and made plans for the perfect trip. It looked like she was going to come back into the spotlight. This is what Simon Cowell wrote on social media, 47 words that changed everything. Her phone stopped ringing after a few hours. The sponsors dropped out. The tour was called off. Before they even said it. What did Simon write that stopped Paula from making a comeback? You'll be shocked by the truth. She came into the world on June 19, 1962, in San Fernando, California. Harry Abdul, her father, had come from Syria with nothing. He ran a liquor shop that turned into a business that sold animals. In Canada, her mother, Lorraine Ricus, played the piano in concerts. Who used to help Billy Wilder with his work. Her mother was the one who got her interested in art. Paula Abdul was already dancing on stage in neighborhood theaters when she was 7 years old. Her youth was mostly spent on the go. She drove between towns, was in summer stock musicals, and built something that didn't have a name yet. They didn't have a lot of money, but they taught her discipline, art, and that she was meant for something bigger. She began going to the West Coast School of Performing Arts when she was 8 years old. She learned classical, jazz, and tap dances. In 1975, when she was only 13, she rose to fame with a solo and won her first neighborhood award. She won a scholarship to a dance camp near Palm Springs. It was like being given the key to a world outside of the valley. The way she speaks and writes makes her stand out. If she had to miss class, she would cry. She watched Gene Kelly over and over again and copied her every move until it became easy for her. She was going to national dance meets by the time she was in her mid-teens, and her performances were known for being very sharp for someone her age. She joined the Van Nuys High School cheerleading squad in 1976. By her junior year, she was captain. In 1979, she put together a halftime show with 24 dancers who all did the same move at the same time. For high school, that measure wasn't common. She did more than just cartwheels. She was making plans for events. She was also in the top 10 of her class and was named president. They were asked to play at events across the whole city that same year. In just a few weeks, she could take a group of dancers who were all over the place and make them move like a machine. The polish and energy she brought to those shows would become her trademark in the future. Getting ready for the next step by having rehearsals, going to school, and dancing past midnight during these early years. She went to Cal State Northridge in 1980 to study TV and radio but dropped out after only one term. She wanted to dance, not get a degree. She did odd jobs to keep her dream alive. Tip-based work at a Jewish deli in Encino helped her save money for individual lessons with Michael Peters, who was one of the best choreographers at the time. It cost up to $50 for each lesson. That's how much she was making. To get a few hours of training every week, she would work 2 jobs. She would practice until her feet hurt at night. She was running on gas and drive. In the same year, she was one of 200 people who tried out for the Lakers girls squad. She danced to Hot Stuff by Donna Summer. She wasn't even meant to be at the tryouts, so she changed costumes, used her middle name Julie, and wrote her last name wrong on the form to get around the process. She was chosen. She was 18 years old. Each Lakers girl made around $50 a game, but the money wasn't what it was worth. It got a lot of attention. Paula was made junior choreographer within a year. In 1981, she did her first 20-girl pyramid lift live on CBS during a Lakers vs. Celtics game. Someone could have broken their back with just one slip, but it worked. The crowd went crazy. She added flair, drama, and technical precision to over 30 new acts she made over the next year. To a team that was just smiles and pom-poms before. Her halftime shows began to feel like they were on Broadway. People came early just to see them. She became the head dancer in 1983, when she was only 21 years old. During that season, she was in charge of more than 50 shows. An honor to Magic Johnson was one of them that got a lot of attention. That the Lakers front office saw a 15% rise in the number of people who came to games where her moves were shown. Not only was she entertaining them, she also helped fill the seats. Jackson family member Jackie Jackson saw her perform one night. He liked her so much that he hired her for their movie, Torture. That moment broke open the door to the music business. Things were not always easy. Back in 1984, there were rumors that Paula had dated Lakers player Brad Holland for a short time. There were cheerleaders who didn't like it. There was drama, anxiety, and jealousy. The team put her on the bench for 2 games. No one knew why, but it was the first time the public saw Paula Abdul's personal life mixing with her work life, which would become a common theme. She didn't look up and came back stronger. The real test came next. Paula fell wrong during a lift in a playoff game against the Celtics on April 20, 1986. Her ACL tore. It was loud. It happened right away. She fell down. It hurt to have surgery. It got worse in rehab. Physiotherapy for 6 months. Basic moves had to be learned all over again. She tried to come back too quickly, which almost caused damage that would not heal. She got better after that kind of accident, which doesn't happen to most dancers. She made a record 82 performances for the Lakers girls that same year. It was the end of her time on the court, but she just kept going. Everything changed that year. The album Have You Done For Me Lately by Janet Jackson came out at the end of 1985. Paula planned out the whole thing. The video was shot in a building and featured 12 dancers in very clear shots. It went viral on MTV and became a national obsession. She was even in it, she was in the diner with Janet. The moves were cool, quick, and new. It changed more than just Janet's job. It changed the way music films could be made. After MTV had been around for 4 years, Paula Abdul helped change the way it talked. Then 1987 came along. George Michael asked her to make the dance for I Want Your Sex, sexy, brave, and dangerous. MTV took it down. Even though BBC didn't let it show during the day, it did 150 times that month. No one could take their eyes off of it. Paula's dance moves were no longer just background. It was very important to the story. In 1988, MTV gave her the Best Choreography Award for the video. In the same year, she left the ZZ Top video set in the middle of filming. She asked for an extra $5,000. She got it. No one thought that a young woman director would act so power-hungry. But Paula did it, and it worked. Forever Your Girl, Paula Abdul's first record, came out on June 15, 1988, but not many people paid attention. It barely made a sound when it hit number 108 on the Billboard 200. Virgin Records, her record company, didn't even have high hopes. But Paula was used to being thought less of. The following events made that quiet release one of the biggest pop surprises of the 1980s. She didn't have a great voice or a lot of experience singing. She danced and put together dances, but to many, she was just a figure in the background. But she had a unique beat and spark that no one else could copy. People couldn't stop listening when Straight Up started to play on a few radio stations in San Francisco. It was a raw, fun, and different beat. It made it all the way to number 1 on the Billboard Hot 100 by February 11, 1989. It was number 1 for 3 weeks and in the US sold more than 1.2 million copies. From a demo she found in a trash can, it became a platinum record. All from a song that was recorded for just $3,000. David Fincher was in charge of making the black and white music video. Paula planned the dance herself. It had Arsenio Hall, a robot with a dance move, and even Jaimin Hunsu. The video went off. Among them were Best Female Video and Best Choreography. It got 4 MTV Video Music Awards that year. But the song became popular before the video even came out. That's strong. Her music wasn't stuck anymore all of a sudden. Always. Your Girl didn't just start to rise. It caught on like fire. It worked its way to number 1 for 64 weeks before it finally got there on October 7, 1989. It had never taken that long for a record to reach the top of the Billboard charts. For 10 weeks, it was the number 1 song. It was number 1 for almost 2 years. 7 million copies were sold in the US and 12 million were sold around the world. She was just getting going. Next was the title track, Forever Your Girl. It came out in April 1989 and had Dancers, Sunshine, Beach Volleyball, and California Dreams. It went straight to number 1 and stayed there for 5 weeks. It was up for a Grammy for Best Music Video, but that wasn't the best thing about it. After that, Cold Hearted and Opposites Attract both made it to number 1. That meant that the same first record had 4 number 1 hits. That was first done by a woman artist, Paula Abdul. In music history, only 9 records had ever done that. Something deeper was going on behind the scenes, though. Executives at Virgin Records started to stress Paula about how she looked as Forever Your Girl went up in the charts. To look more like a pop star, she was told to lose weight. The message never changed. It hurt a lot. She lost 15 pounds in just 2 months. She started to binge eat. In July 1989 alone, she was on 20 TV shows while quietly going to therapy just to stay alive. On stage, she was going through a storm in her head and body. Her schedule got tougher. Things started to go wrong in her personal life. In 1988, she married Brad Beckerman, but she became famous very quickly and didn't slow down. Paula worked 80 hours a week and missed birthdays, dinners, and other events because she was too busy with practices and tours. By October 1989, they were going to therapy together. It did not work. There was no more marriage in 1990. On stage, what looked like a fairy tale was falling apart. Still, she kept going. The song, Odds Attract, came out in November 1989. Nothing else was like it. A cat called MC Scat Cat danced with Paula in the music video. The cat's moves were based on those of real-life dancer Michael Boogaloo Shrimp Chambers and were animated using rotoscoping. It cost $250,000 for the movie. In 1991, it won the Grammy for Best Short-Form Music Video and was up for Best Animation at the MTV VMAs. The song made it to number 1 in the US, Canada, and Australia. In the UK, it reached number 2. That made it official. Almost no one thought Paula Abdul's first album would do what it did. It changed the rules. Her Straight Up Forever tour began that same year. 65 shows all over North America. More than 500,000 friends. It made $12 million. Every night, she changed clothes 15 times. She sang The Way That You Love Me by Aerial Silks. It looked beautiful. But on June 5, 1989, she fell badly on stage at a show in Chicago. Her knee got hurt. She didn't back out. She didn't miss a single show on the tour. The wound wasn't fixed for months. In the end, it needed repair surgery. Even though she danced through anger, pain, and everything else, it left scars that took years to heal. She did a show at the Super Bowl Void halftime show in January 1989. More than 110 million people watched. She planned a performance for 100 dancers to do together to the song Cold Hearted. In the same year, she beat Madonna to win the American Music Award for Favorite Pop Rock Female Artist. There was no longer any doubt about her cap. She was at the top, but she was falling apart on the inside. In Dallas on August 12, 1989, Paula Abdul passed out backstage right before her show. They were too tired and thirsty to do anything. She was stabilized within 4 and still went on stage to act. Her eating problem had gotten worse. She later said that while she was on tour, she was purging twice a day. It went on for almost 20 years. She didn't tell anyone. In 1994, she finally went to a mental health center. That was the start of her getting better. She put out Shut Up and Dance in 1990. A remix record that got a lot of sales. Things were breaking for her, but her success hadn't slowed down. Michael Jackson asked her to sing a duet with him on his record Dangerous. No, she said. The business world couldn't believe it. Paula knew she was about to lose it, though. Her marriage was failing. Her health was getting worse. On November 28, 1991, she asked for a divorce. The song Spellbound by Paula Abdul came out in May 1991. There was no better time than right now. The record went straight to number 1 on the Billboard 200 just 2 weeks after it came out. For that time, the mix was crazy. It has pop, dance, and R&B in it. There was also something in there that no one saw coming. Prince had quietly added his touch to Vibiology, but no one knew about it at the time. It wasn't just that the track sounded different. It looked different. A choreography that mixed ballet and hip-hop was done by 16 dancers in the film. The rehearsals went on for more than 12 hours a day for almost 2 weeks straight because they were so hard. The album sold 12 million copies around the world, 3 million in the US alone. That was it. Paula Abdul became the first woman to have 4 number 1 songs from the same album. Fans didn't even know Prince was involved for years. That mystery made the story stronger. I heard Rush Rush for the first time, and it didn't just make noise, it changed everything. It was number 1 on the Billboard Hot 100 for 5 weeks in a row after it came out in May 1991. They hadn't done that since Olivia Newton-John's Physical in 1981. Paula was one of the directors of the movie, transforming a Los Angeles diner into a 1950s dream world. Keanu Reeves was in the middle, but not as an action hero. He was there as a quiet, lone figure looking through time. The set was full of more than 200 extras. It only took 2 days to film, but it did really well. In its first month, the song was played on the radio over 10,000 times. MTV got a lot of suggestions. It was softly lit. It had a vintage feel and Keanu was sad. It was like a memory you didn't live through but somehow missed. She was still going up in October 1991. That 4th number 1 song from Spellbound was about the start of a new day. It looked like the video had come in from a dream. Studios that are mirrored, fog rolling around, and dancers moving like ghosts. But there was something real behind that show. Just a few months before, on April 15, 1992, she completed her divorce. That broken heart showed up in the dance moves. Some of the dancers' moves looked like they were breaking and starting over. Prince wrote the songs himself, and Paula's desire to start over shaped them. In 1991, that's a huge amount of money to spend on a movie. People didn't remember the budget, though. It amazed them that something so smooth could still feel so rough. In the middle of making noise about her success, Paula did something that even her friends thought was strange. She asked Ricardo Vorig to marry her second time around at an After Fashion Week party in Paris on March 3, 1992. A few weeks later, they got married, but there was something darker going on behind the scenes. She had had back pain for years, ever since she was in cheering. It never really went away. She took more painkillers as prescribed and tried to stand up straight for shows and events. She was taking 20 pills every day by 1993. It almost killed her in 1994. The overdose was handled quietly, and it wasn't made public until her book came out in 2005. The marriage broke up that same year. Paula later said that therapy and the quiet support of her friends were what kept her alive. It looked like a fairy tale from the outside, but she was barely making it through behind the scenes. In 1992, she had another big moment that not many people knew about. Paula Abdul helped write the dance moves for Whitney Houston's "I Will Always Love You" music video. The video didn't need fancy dance. It needed lifts and personality. The way she moved matched the pain in Whitney's words. Paula worked with her closely for weeks, making every second feel like a moving sadness. In an interview with Rolling Stone in November 1992, Whitney said that Paula's idea changed her life. The applause wasn't just for fun. It was the kind of thing artists do for each other when something works. It turned out to be one of the most famous videos of the decade. Paula was no longer just a pop star. It was getting harder to describe what she was becoming. After that, there was Quiet. It was planned for Head Over Heels to come out earlier, but it kept getting pushed back. For their own reasons, they said. The truth hurt a lot. Paula's private plane crashed over Iowa on July 13, 1993. The right engine didn't work. The wing caught fire. She was knocked out by the crash. She would have 15 surgeries on her back over the next 7 years. The FAA did not make a public report. Some reporters began to wonder if it really happened. Paula stuck to her story, though. Back then, there were no social networks. There was less pain to hide. The timeline told a hard truth, even if the crash didn't happen exactly as reported. Her record was not released for 2 years. Her body changed. The news stories talked about how quiet she was. There was an event outside. People had very high hopes when the record finally came out on June 13, 1995. My Love Is For Real, the lead song, came out first, on May 29, 1995. It wasn't like anything else. Music from the Middle East was mixed with the haunting singing of Israeli singer Afra Haza. The images were a mix of LA street choreography and belly dancing. It was shown to 50 million people on MTV. It did get to number 28 on the Hot 100, though. It got as high as number 18 on the Billboard 200. Gold approved, yes, but not nearly as high as she used to be. People started to whisper at this point. Had she lost her shine? She didn't believe it. The next song, Crazy Cool, came out on August 22, 1995. They choreographed it together and shot it with Matthew Ralston. She gave it all the edge she had. MTV said no, not unless they turned down the heat. There were pole dances and beer pours. The movie was changed, but the buzz was already bad. The song stopped at number 58, but Paula wasn't going to give up regardless. She went on a 30-city tour that same month, even though she had a slipped disc in her back. After she hurt herself during practices in February 1995, doctors told her to stop months before. She danced anyway. Every night, she flipped through pain. Each step was a challenge to give up. She didn't. Her body finally told the truth, though. After years of pain and being hooked on pills, she overdosed in 1996. It took place at home in Encino. She was taken to the hospital and then to rehab. That year broke her. Emilio Estevez and she broke up on September 9, 1998, but she had been emotionally falling apart for a long time before that. She later said that she had been struggling with bulimia for 15 years. She told the therapist that Emilio had never fully helped her get better. It wasn't just drug abuse. It was everything. The food problems, being alone, the pressure from other people, the breakup, and the overdose were all things that came to a head at the same time. The news quickly spread. The silence did too. She tried to change speeds. In 1996, she got a small speaking part in Spy Hard as a character named Stacy. It was fun and light. There was a break from the chaos, but it didn't last. She backed out of 3 talk shows in 1997. She was too tired and stressed out. The people who used to scream her name didn't even notice. She faded away without a sound. People didn't know who she was until she joined American Idol in 2002. In June 2002, she smiled as she walked into American Idol. And an image that was built on dance and pop music, not on being controversial. Paula Abdul was offered $1 million a season, but what she brought to the show was worth much more than that. The contestants felt safe with her kindness. Simon Cowell said some mean things across the table, but Paula put her feelings aside and tried to understand. It wasn't planned. That's just how she was. And the difference between his bite and her bomb was what made the show go. Over 26 million people watched the season 1 finale. It wasn't just the sounds that drew them in, it was also the performances. By the second season, Idol wasn't just a singing competition, it was a huge event in pop culture. Paula was the part that made it seem real. Things got bad in 2004. Fantasia Barrino's audition for season 3. Simon cut Paula off and said what she was saying was stupid. It was a big deal when the word ridiculous was used in a title. Millions of times, the video was played. Lots of people talked and fought. Was it true? Was it a set? Emails sent behind closed doors showed that the two of them shared jokes and pet names. They joked around and laughed behind closed doors. It did work, though. Everyone in the world couldn't look away. Paula was no longer just a judge. She was the one who made the contestants feel safe, who looked them in the eye when they cried and held their hands when they fell. That fight that went public made her famous. She was concerned. The whispers then came. Some people said Simon stopped Paula from coming back after she left Idol in 2009. But that idea fell apart in August 2016 when Cowell tweeted, "Proud of you, Paula," after she performed at a mixtape event. It was written down, a public cheer. The last time she appeared on Idol was May 20, 2009, but the break in her work wasn't meant to hurt her. It was life, with its pain, mending, and doubts. There are times when a gap is not a grudge. Paula had helped more than 150 Idol contestants, and many of them eventually said she was their favorite coach. But in 2005, when TMZ released a video of her slurring her words, everything changed. There were a lot of addiction stories on the internet. What really took place was a lot more human. She had been dealing with long-term pain from an accident. The drug was legal and authorized, but the side effects were known to everyone. In 2009, she told the cameras that the drug stories were not true. It hurt, and it took time to get better. She did show up, though. Still, she was a guide. She smiled anyway. She decided to keep going even though it hurt and word got around. She tried to change things in 2008. Randy Jackson has a new song out called "Dance Like There's No Tomorrow." It got to number 63. Not a blast, but not a bust either. In 2009, her reality show Hey Paula showed video of her on March 15, when she was acting crazy. It wasn't changed to keep her safe. We didn't screen or clean it up in any way. People judged her again after the shows were taken down. They didn't see the quiet strength it took to keep coming back, though. Being behind the camera meant that someone was juggling fame and mental health without a script. Then something happened that no one saw coming. Sued Nigel Lythgoe on December 29, 2023, Paula Abdul said he sexually assaulted her while she was on American Idol and So You Think You Can Dance. According to the lawsuit, the first event took place in an elevator at a hotel in the early 2000s. He is said to have touched her and tried to kiss her. She got away. The second event took place at his house in 2015. Under the cover of a business meeting. She said it took place on a couch this time. The California Sexual Abuse and Cover-Up Accountability Act was used as evidence in her lawsuit. This was a law that briefly pushed back the deadline for cases like hers. The last day to send it was December 31, 2023. She turned in her papers on time. Soon after, in October 2024, Lythgoe hit back. He made more than 20 private emails and texts public. In one, from June 20, 2014, Paula thanked him for the flowers and told him she was still crying. He called her a liar and someone who loves attention. In a birthday message from 2015, she wrote, "I love you, Nigel." He used this to call her claims into question. The press had a great time. Us Weekly had headlines. Some people wondered if friendly texts meant there hadn't been any abuse. The real story, though, wasn't about tone. There was talk of power, of silence, and of what happens when private words are used as weapons in public. Paula wrote about a third event in the same revised complaint from October 2024. This one took place on the set of 2015's episode 1243 of So You Think You Can Dance. Lythgoe is said to have hit her buttocks several times while other people were close. Then she didn't say anything. She kept quiet because she was afraid of getting hurt, but she didn't forget. During the same event, she said, he hit her helper. Because of these factors, a private settlement was reached and signed on December 13, 2024. It wasn't just a court case. She'd been carrying that part of her life by herself for years. As the truth came out in 2024, she had to fight again. Paula Abdul called off her tour of Canada on September 5. They found damage to the spine from years of dancing. It takes 6 to 8 weeks to heal after 2 treatments. At age 62, her body could no longer hide the damage. She said that the injections helped for a little while, but a full trip was too much. She said sorry. She said she would be stronger when she came back. She really meant it. It wasn't the first time her body told her to slow down, but this time it hurt more. Fans don't talk about TV shows or courtroom news when they talk about her comeback. Instead, they talk about the August 6, 2016, mixtape event in Hershey, Pennsylvania. Paula's first full show in 26 years drew 15,000 people. Opposites Attract, Cold Hearted, Rush Rush, and Straight Up were some of the songs she sang. Forever Your Girl was a gift to her father, Harry. She laughed, she cried, and she danced. That night did more than help her job, it also made her feel better. In less than a year, she joined the Total Package tour with Boys II Men and Cop. The tour had 47 shows and made $39 million. It wasn't on TV, it happened on stage. Simon Cowell never put her success down, despite what some people said. He said on Kelly Clarkson's talk show in 2019 that he wished they could do a show together again. He said that their relationship was wonderful. In 2025, Paula made a joke about putting on heels with spikes just to poke Simon under the table. It wasn't anger, it was joking, that sharp-edged kindness they'd always had. The trouble wasn't what they left behind. The talent they stole from thousands of people. Then, in May 2025, there was another surprise. This is what Paula told the New York Post: the stress of being a hero hurt her brain in a way that can't be fixed. She said it was because of the chaos, her tiredness, and even Simon's British accent. It was a joke with a hidden truth. She had been hurt, but she smiled. A book was a hint. She was no longer hiding. She was still in pain, but she was also strong. She made more than 100 music videos and sold more than 50 million songs. In the 1980s and 1990s, she helped make the pictures that made pop music famous. JJ, George Michael, and ZZ Top. She was named as the 92nd best artist of all time by Billboard. In 2025, she said she would be performing 12 shows a week in Las Vegas. Even though she was being sued, there were reports, surgeries, and breaks, Paula Abdul kept showing up. She got 3 rescued dogs in 2020. Their names are Tutu, Sophie, and Gigi. They saved her, she said. In an Instagram post from 2024, she said that they helped her deal with the emotional weight of her legal fights. In the middle of all the chaos, fame didn't make her feel better. It was fur. It was love. It was 3 small lessons that praise doesn't always help people get better.